Welcome to Tilecast. Tilecast is about putting together the tiles of the biblical mosaic of Jesus' mission. We want to explore the themes relevant to all of Jesus' teaching. My name is Ty Nickel, and I'm the minister for the Essex Village Church of Christ here in Charleston, South Carolina. Enjoy the Tilecast. As we've noticed key details in the three parables of Luke 15, we've learned that Jesus is responding to the grumbling of the Pharisees and scribes. Jesus did not create imagery on the spot, though. Jesus seems to pull images from the scriptures that were very familiar and that transported the typical Jewish imagination right back to the foundational motivations of God, who deals with a stubborn and rebellious people. Psalm 23 and Ezekiel 34 depict God as a shepherd, and even Psalm 23 describes God as in a humble domestic servant role, typically a woman preparing a table. But what about the suffering yet gracious Father imagery? Jesus pulls from Deuteronomy chapter 21, verses 18 through 21. If a man had a stubborn and rebellious son who wasted resources on gluttony and drunkenness, remember that prodigal means wasteful. The father could legally bring him to the elders of the city at the gate of the city so the community could stone him to death to purge the evil from their midst. However, the father in the parable running to embrace his broken son mirrors Psalm 103:13. As a father had compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. Psalm 103, verse 8, quotes God's words in Exodus 34, verse 6, merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love. Kenneth Bailey, a scholar who spent decades in the Middle East studying culture, remarks that a proud Middle Eastern father would never run because this would be a shameful thing to do in public. Jesus is in public view here in Luke 15, and though he isn't running physically, his motivation is likened to running toward those who are drawing near to him, similar to the father running out to the returning prodigal son in the parable. Jesus is acting out of mercy, love, and compassion, weighty aspects of the law which the Pharisees ignored according to Matthew chapter 23, verse 23. Jesus again is operating within a historical context that is foreign to many of us. Casual reading of the Gospels can result in missing major foundational and ongoing biblical themes. Jesus is highly aware of Israel's national status as a son, who, when in the dark era of Egyptian captivity, was in need of redemption. They are, however, still in exile. Therefore, the prodigal son of the parable represents not merely an individual in need of rescue. He is representative of Israel, who are a type of all of humanity. Israel cries out in Isaiah 63, verse 16, "For you are our Father, though Abraham does not know us, and Israel does not acknowledge us. You, O Lord, are our Father. Our Redeemer from of old is your name." By Jesus' actions of receiving tax collectors and sinners and eating with them, he is demonstrating that even though a son would shame his father and forfeit the family identity by saying in Luke 15:19, "I am no longer worthy to be called your son," God is willing to suffer the humiliation in order to forgive and be reconciled. What a powerful display of God's heart Jesus' life and ministry has provided all of us. A couple of questions we might ask one another are we too proud to endure this kind of humiliation? And if not, what can we do differently in order to act out the Father's vulnerable and compassionate heart?